All right, Haiku back here for the blue Lord of the Rings set review for Historic Pauper. Um, Getting right into it. Arwen's Gift. This one I don't think is playable. We do have now the access to legendary creatures with the Ring Temptation mechanic, but I don't think a 3 mana divination that you can scry with makes it playable. Bewitching Leechcraft. Again, this card is not playable. It does have the upside is that this is the first card that can tap creatures on the opponent's side, other than the snow one. There's a snow enchantment at 2 mana that basically does the same effect, but doesn't have this counter business where it's weaker. So I don't think this one will see play. Okay, so Birthday Escape. The big issue with this card is the fact that it's a sorcery. If it was an instant, it would be extremely playable. Even at sorcery, I think it's a possibility. So I'm probably going to try out to play this with ninjas is where I'm foreseeing that it's going to play well with. One other issue with the Ring Temptation is you have to have the creature in play when you do the Ring Temptation to get the bonus from it. And then it's only on that creature. So the issue is when you bounce the creature with ninjas, it loses that ability, or when the opponent removes your creature. So there's a lot of downsides to the Ring Temptation. But just even the first Ring Temptation, making the card basically have Skulk. So it's like an evasion to your ninjas is pretty reasonable. But so the kind of play pattern that I see for Birthday Escape is you land a fairy, then turn 2 you ninja in one of your ninjas, and then turn 3 is the earliest that you can use that you'd want to use Birthday Escape to give that ninja a little bit of unblockability, or give it Skulk is what I should say. And then after that, it gets a slightly better. So I think it's worth playing with, but it's not a completely like broken mechanic. One difference that it has the Ring Temptation to Initiative or the Monarch cards, where they, as long as you kept it, you didn't have to add any additional resources to it to get even more value turn after turn after maintaining the Monarch or the Initiative. Here, even if you keep the Ring Temptation, you don't get any additional advantage other than your cards keeping that bonus. So I don't think Ring Temptation is going to be very strong, but it's close with this card and in the specific archetype where the bonuses of the Ring Temptation, with Skulk being the first one, may make ninjas want this card. This card, just too expensive, not worth it. This card's a neat little trick, and it creates a random little token, and it is an instant, so it's reasonable. I think I would have wanted this card 1 more mana and have a cantrip stapled onto it, a draw card. Deceive the Messenger is probably just a little bit too cute, and I don't think if you're trying to get this to work to like try to like shrink a creature and block it with the 1/1, you might as well just play a removal spell. So the only situation where you'd really want this is in mono blue. So there's just too many things. It does a lot of things, but the things that it does is not quite enough. Dreadful as the Storm. Again, the Ring Temptation mechanic, I don't think that you want to be playing bad cards that happen to have Ring Temptation. And this is a card type that, or an effect that we see commonly. There's another one at 2 mana. There's another one at 3 mana or that draws a card. So I think drawing the card is probably better than Ring Temptation. The stat line might be slightly different. I think that's a 4/3 or something. Anyway, overall, this effect is just not good enough for any decks. Glorious Gail is another Essence Scatter, so now you can play more than 4. Now, I was just thinking about the decks. I have a lot of decks that I ended up playing 4 Essence Scatters in, but I don't think I really want to go more than 4. In the way that Historic Pauper is, Essence Scatter is a pretty strong card, but it's more like a removal spell. It's not really an effective control card. You almost use it because it's a pretty efficient removal spell for a creature. So I don't think you really want to play more than 4, but you may want to play 5 or 6 and see how the deck runs. There are a couple decks in Historic Pauper that don't rely on creatures. That's the creatureless poison control deck, and then there's the fog control deck, and I'm thinking there's one other deck that doesn't play creatures. Anyway, so having 5 or 6 counters that are dead to a certain decks that are played for a little bit may run you into some issues. Moving on to Greyhaven's Navigator. The fact that it has flash is interesting, but doesn't have any sort of evasion. So that's what I'd be looking for in kind of like a draw go style deck is landing a creature either evasion or hexproof. But having neither means that you can hold up counters and then play it as a finisher. But then if you're playing a control deck that you're really taking advantage of the flash, then they're going to have plenty of removal spells for your couple of creatures, and so you need kind of a more resilient threat. So that's I don't think playable. Hilthlane Knots. I don't think. It's an interesting card. It's actually kind of similar to that other trick, Deceive the Messenger, although it does draw a card. But I don't think it does enough for 2 mana. We do already have the cycle card. It cycles and taps a creature, and so in effect it draws a card. So the only addition here is Scry 1, and that other card, when you don't cycle it, you get to use tap 3 creatures. So I don't think this is enough better, and it might even be worse than that other card that this is going to see play. Isolation at Orthink. This is actually a pretty efficient removal spell, and the fact that it goes second from the top is also keeps it off the board for a little while. And the fact that the creature is just any creature, it doesn't have to be attacking, kind of gets rid of a lot of downsides of some of these cards in blue. It just costs a little bit much, but we're getting slowly better on these blue removal spells. But I don't think this is where you want to be. A 3 mana 2/1 that draws a card on when it dies rather than when it enters the battlefield is not what we want. The elemental is much better than that since it draws it on into the battlefield. This one, another one that grows, but again, it's 4 mana. It's just too much mana. All right, Lorien Revealed. I've been rushing through blue to get to what I think is going to be the best card of the set. So I kind of already talked about when All Will Be One came out that there was specific land cycling. So there was the cycle of mountain, plains, and island, swamp cycling, and forest cycling. That if they ever printed Island Cycler that was an instant or sorcery, it would be completely busted. And really, it didn't matter what the text was on the card. What mattered is the card type. So Island Cycling is excellent because it can fix your lands, and it can also find the Mystic Sanctuary that is crucial to most blue decks. It's a free kind of value land, so you're already trying to make a lot of land drops with most of the blue decks, and being able to recur a spell that you've already played, presumably it's pretty effective, is excellent. And then the actual text of the card, where it draws 3 cards, is actually pretty reasonable in a control deck. So so you actually have a reasonable card late game to use as your draw spell. So I wanted to show a couple decks, because I do want to focus on this deck on how powerful it is. Focus on this card on how powerful it is. So I'm going to show. Okay, let's see. I think this is working. So this is my update to Grixis Snake. I'm using Untitled Terror as a placeholder for Lorien's. What is it called? Lorien Revealed. And of note, these were 2 mana Island Cyclers, and Lorien Revealed is only 1 mana. So this is how I build it. So I would add the black, because again, the fact that it can find your ice tunnel or your forward means that the cost of adding another color is a lot less, because this can be a land fixer as well as making sure you hit your land drops. So you can stay tight at the 22 lands. I think you probably can start considering cutting even some lands now, but I was going to keep it at that since I still want to hit my 4th land drop to get stuff back with Mystic Sanctuary. So so it's just an iteration of the Tolarian Terror decks. So you get to play some of the black cards, which is like Debt to the Kami, Suffocating Fumes, and Unexpected Feigns to get some silver bullets in the deck. Just a very light splash of black. And then red gives you kind of more efficient removal spells with the Madness cards and just Frostbites. So yeah, so this in effect adds to your instants or sorceries count for your terrors and your curves, and then late game it can find the Mystic Sanctuary, and the Mystic Sanctuary can put on whatever. If you playing a weenie deck and you already wrath their board once with the Suffocating Fumes, you can just bring it back and do it again. You can, against the Hexproof deck, get your Debt to the Kami back. You can get your Lifelink spell against the Burn deck. So it adds, like, Mystic Sanctuary was already a very, very strong card because it was so little cost to add to your deck. And now you have a way to tutor it and then recycle, be more consistent about recycling your most powerful cards. And then another nice part about this deck is the finisher is the instant or sorcery in itself. So if you discarded it early in the game, since you didn't have didn't have a lot of instants or sorceries in your yard, then later in the game you can use Mystic Sanctuary to get this one back. And then if you're missing Fling or the Curve, then Untitled Terror can find the Mystic Sanctuary or not Untitled Terror, Lorien Revealed can find the Mystic Sanctuary, and then you can get the other combo piece once you've got the game wrapped up. So that's one deck that really benefits from having a tutor for Mystic Sanctuary plus the lands. Now, you don't necessarily need to take advantage of playing 3 colors or multiple colors to get advantage of the Island Cycler. So I think in just this deck also you want an Island Cycler. So the Island Cycler allows you again to find your Mystic Sanctuaries to get back your critical poison spells and proliferate spells to add more poison. And it fixes your mana, makes sure you hit your land drops so you can play lower land count in these control decks and be very consistent. And then late game, I no longer need to play the Behold the Multiverse anymore. Now I can play just the Lorien's Resolve, Lorien Revealed, not Lorien's Resolve, Lorien Revealed, that can draw me 3 cards. So late game, I can just draw 3 with that card in the control deck and finish the game. So it shores up a lot in this deck. And I mean, it's just amazing. So blue-white we'll also want this card, the Empire deck, where you can grab Mystic Sanctuary to put another. I forgot what the card is called that makes 3 2/2s on top of your deck. So just it's just going to play well with all of the blue control archetypes that we have in Historic Pauper. So let's move the window back. So now we're back finishing up the set. I don't know what happened with this card. Shoot, I don't know if it's a common. So I'll just move on to the Pelargir Survivor. It's interesting. These are getting better and better. It used to be like add 1 colorless mana, and now it can add any color. And this extra ability to mill 3 may be interesting in like a control mirror. But again, I don't think we really want this card. Another bounce spell. It's a little bit weaker since this is non-token, and a lot of the things that you want to be bouncing are token creatures with your bounce spell, since it won't come back. So it's basically a kill spell. So I don't think the benefit of Ring Tempting You outweighs the downside of it having to be a non-token. Surrounded by Orcs. I don't see a home for this spell. That we don't really have like a dedicated mill deck. So I don't see this card working. Like a mill deck that also wants creatures in the play just doesn't seem to be a thing. Treason the Isengard. Again, interesting card because it can put it on top and then create a 2/2. So it's like a 2/2 that puts an instant sorcery on top of your graveyard, or on top of your library from your graveyard, and it adds to your instant sorceries count in your yard. But I don't think that's where you want to be. And then the last card for the blue cards, just a non-playable. So let me see if that one has loaded yet. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's see if I can just get, I don't know. I think everyone is trying to load these cards. Let's go to the blue. All right, Pelargir. Sorry. Rangers of Ithian. Okay. Okay, yeah. Nimrindel. Okay, so I was looking at the wrong. Wait, no, yeah. So it was a common. So let's see. Whenever you scry, gets +1/+1, can't be blocked. There's a couple cards that scry every turn, but the fact that it only triggers once each turn means that it loses its combo ability to like scry, and really hit in for a lot of damage. So don't think that one's playable. The fact that it's unblockable, but it's only a one toughness means unblockable means it's possible, but then yeah, 1 toughness is tough. There's just so many things that will deal with that. And then like the type of deck that this would want to be in, an unblockable attacker like ninjas, they already have so many 1 toughness creatures that they're already so weak to wrath that I don't think you want to add another one, even though this card is okay. There's enough stuff that can scry that you can trigger it pretty often. So a 3/1 unblockable attacker. Yeah, maybe it is playable. I recently dismissed this one, but actually it might be strong enough that it might outweigh the downside of this 1 toughness. And there's ways in blue to up the toughness, especially with the enchantment, or not the enchantment, the equipment that that you can attach when you draw an extra card. So for your turn, if you draw your second card, it can attach it. So yeah, so this one actually may be a playable. So the standout card for blue is Lorien Revealed. Like I said, it's going to enable a lot of different blue decks to really be very, very consistent with their land drops and then being a draw 3, being consistent with their late game. And then also the fact that it can search up Mystic Sanctuary means they're very consistent with finding or using their silver bullet cards a second time, being very consistent with using their silver bullets. Other cards in blue that I think are possible playables is Birthday Escape and Glorious Gale, since it is just Essence Scatter. I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, so actually, Nimrodel Watcher, it's good that it finally loaded. This is probably the third best card in the set for blue, after Lorien Revealed and gosh, now I can't find the card. Birthday Escape. All right, so that's my set analysis for blue. Draft or craft Lorien Revealed, because if you like playing any sort of blue control decks, this is like an auto 4 of in those decks. All right, see you for the set review of black.